Defense is 50% of the game, and rarely is it even talked about. And some people even think you don't need to train it. It's just something that requires effort, and that could not be further from the truth. So in this video, I want to break down defense to a science so you guys can understand every single aspect to what it is, how to improve it, and how to be a lockdown defender yourself. So first off, what even makes somebody a lockdown defender? To me, it's someone who can make the offense's job as difficult as possible and ultimately put the offense in positions to shoot the lowest percentage shot possible. If you can do this consistently over time, you are going to be a good defender. You are going to be someone that people fear and do not want to go up against. So how do we become this player that nobody wants to face? Number one is starting to understand the player that you're guarding and really the team's tendencies. What does the player you're guarding want to do? Is he a catch and shoot player? Is he a physical player? Is he a quick player? You want to put him in positions where he is uncomfortable. If he is somebody who always wants to go right, you know, okay, I have to try to force him to go left, knowing he's going to try to come back to that right hand. So you're almost baiting him into doing that. So then you can be there and either steal it or put him in a position where he has to try to make a pass, a tough pass, and then turn into a turnover. So most people don't do this. Most people are purely reactive, where they just say, okay, whatever the offense does, I'm just going to react to that. And they're not consciously thinking of how can I put this player in the toughest possible position for a pass or for a shot. So beyond that, it's also starting to understand where your help is, starting to tie in, okay, this is the player's tendencies with this is where my help is. This is where the player is on the floor, and this is where I want to force them. Some people, again, they're just reactive. They're just playing straight up. If he goes middle, cool. If he goes baseline, cool. But if you know, okay, hey, this player doesn't like to go left. I have help side here on this baseline, or he's in the corner, so I want to force him left where he's not comfortable in a tight space. That's going to put him in a tough spot. So being able to quickly make all of these reads, pick up on all this information, and use it effectively is going to be key. Lastly, understanding the context of the game. Is it late quarter situation? Player's a great shooter, wants to get a shot off. You can pressure him a little bit more, knowing, again, you have help side behind you, knowing he wants to get a shot off, and then you're probably going to be in a position to, again, to make him shoot a tougher shot than he needs to and shoot a low percentage shot. Again, making your job as a defender even better. Now, the next biggest thing is being able to accurately read the person in front of you. What are they going to try to do? Yes, you can try to lead them into where you want to go, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to react. Are they trying to go left? Are they trying to go right? How do you be able to properly anticipate where they're going to go? Number one is to just focus on staying in front of the body, not the ball. Don't fall for where they're making moves and they're putting the ball out here. Stay in front of the body. Read more so the midsection as opposed to where the ball is going. The second thing, one of the biggest aspects to being able to read effectively is what we call perceptual cues. This is really more so a subconscious process where you're reading kind of how their feet are positioned, how their hips, their shoulders, and using that information again subconsciously to decide, okay, this is probably where they're going to go, and you're trying to anticipate that and beat them to the spot. The easiest way that you guys can build this is playing more one-on-one, playing more situational one-on-one, where you're working on these situations where you're commonly guarding somebody one-on-one in these situations, and you have to be able to properly anticipate and read. If you can kind of do both of those things and understand, again, you're staying in front of the body, not in front of the ball, and don't bite on these moves or their shot fakes, you're going to be a much better defender. I think a lot of people try to bite on these moves or bite on these shot fakes because they're trying to make a big play. They're trying to get that steal or trying to get that block. Now, these are great. We're going to get into here how you guys can actually do that. But understanding, again, defense is all about putting them in the toughest possible position and taking the lowest percentage shot. Just giving a great contest sometimes is better than jumping on a shot fake and fouling them, or trying to get a steal and make a highlight play and getting a foul and putting them to the free throw line, especially in situations where they're in the bonus. This is just not a good risk to reward ratio. So if you are going to try to make a steal, the time to do so is when the ball is on the way down, as it's leaving their hand. This is why the hardest people to get steals against, or the hardest people to guard, are people whose dribbles are unpredictable. The timing is different. When you see somebody is constantly dribbling with that same timing, up, down, you can start to time, okay, ball's about to go down. I can jump now when the ball is between their hand and the ground, because that is where they cannot control it. You're either going to get a steal there, or you're going to get them to try to react, protect the ball very quickly, and put themselves in a tough position where they might lose the ball, or they're going to try to quickly pass or quickly pick up, and then now you can trap them. So if you're going to try to steal, that is the time and place to do it. Now, if you're going to try to block, always try to kind of more so jump to the side and wait until they leave the ground. Again, you don't always need to block or steal to be a good defender, to make these plays. It's always about putting them in tough situations to make the lowest percentage shot, or to take the lowest percentage shot. So even just being able to contest and put a hand in their face is sometimes better than than a block in and of itself, because sometimes the risk is not worth the reward. Now, being active and being physical on defense is absolutely huge. We want to have active hands. One of the best ways to do this is to always have one hand on the body. Now, this doesn't need to be an arm bar, need to be super physical, but just one hand on the hip. And then also say someone's in triple threat, where active hands or hands on hips coming off, boom, hand in their face, hand where they want to go. Our hands are constantly active, making it a little bit more difficult for them to try to plan or get into what they want. Most people, again, are just very stagnant and very reactive to the offensive player, where they're waiting, where you can be a little bit more proactive on the defensive side with these active hands. Now, also, if the player is driving, it's very crucial that we keep one hand off, and then you can have one hand on, especially in traffic. You can kind of have that arm bar or your forearm more so into their hip, being a little bit physical here because it's tougher to see, but then you want to make sure you have that other hand off. The second that you put both hands on the player, doesn't really matter how, they're going to call it a foul. So always have one hand on, one hand off. This is another crucial part. Coming off pick and rolls, coming off down screens, always having a little bit of contact, just so the defense knows that you are there and they are aware. The second that they feel that there's no contact, it becomes a little bit easier for them to control you, a little bit easier for them to get into what they want, because again, they're not feeling that pressure. It becomes a lot easier to get that shot off. The next major component to defense is our footwork, and this is not just something that you have or don't have. It's something you can very explicitly work on if you understand all the different components. One of the first ones being active feet. Just like how we were saying on defense, you want to have active hands to kind of throw off the offense. You want to be active on your feet, kind of taking a lot of little bounces, and we are active, ready to move in any certain direction. If you get flat-footed, it's very easy for the offense to then explode. You then have to lift your feet, replace your feet, and then be able to explode. So by being able to get a lot of these little bounces, you are ready to be able to quickly move in any certain direction, whether that's turning your hips, whether that's a shuffle, or whether that's a crossover run. So the second thing is our defensive slides. Yes, we need to be able to do this, but sadly this is where most people stop. They just work on defensive slides, and if that's all you do, I promise you are going to get cooked on defense. One of their main reasons is when you get beat. If an offense player is sprinting downhill and you're trying to slide with them, you are going to lose that battle every time. So when you do get beat, oftentimes you are going to need to, number one, flip your hips, where you're going to need to quickly go from maybe facing forward to then shifting your feet to more so a 90-degree angle, and then being able to crossover run. So these hip flips, whether it's on a change of direction or whether it's getting beat, are going to be very vital. And also the next big thing when we're trying to recover, if we do get beat, is learning to beat the player to the spot that they're going to, not that the spot that they're currently at. This is where a lot of people mess up on defense, and there's oftentimes why they get beat. Everyone's going to get kind of shaken or beat on that initial move, but it's all about how you recover back into the play. If you're taking the wrong angle, you're going to have a very tough time getting back into the play. The best defenders take the proper angle to meet the player where they're trying to go, and then they can then recover from there. And again, just give the defense at least a good contest at the minimum. So as you guys can see, there's a lot of different components to defense, and these are all things that you can work on. Hustle is a major component. There's no replacing that, but there's a lot of things you guys can get better at. The IQ, the strategy aspect of defense, the physicality aspect of defense, the skill aspect with your footwork, and all those other things. And these are things that you guys should be working on. Just like how you do offense, you spend all this time working on the offensive moves, spend just as much time thinking and improving on your defense, which is another reason why I'm so big on small-sided games and training with a partner, which is exactly why I built my off-season transformation program, so you guys can get better not only at offense, but defense as well, and it's something that just takes reps and it takes work. So hopefully you guys like this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, comment, and we'll see you guys in the next video soon. Peace.